Baseline unworthiness. Baseline unworthiness. Baseline unworthiness. What is it? Why do we suffer from this feeling of being unworthy? Unlovable. Why do we have, as a species, for lack of a better term, this feeling? And how do we get past it? How do we get over this feeling of being unworthy? How do we address? How do we move past? How do we establish a feeling where we are the best in the world at what we do and who we are? How do we feel and how do we establish that we deserve to be loved? How do you get to a place in your life where you honestly feel like you deserve to be wealthy? You deserve to be healthy. You deserve to be wise. You deserve to be in great relationship with yourself, with your source, and with others. How do we get to a place? How do you raise the baseline state of unworthiness? What's going on, my high vibrational individual expressions of God on earth? It's your boy, Dr. Will Rogers, aka Maestro, Master Teacher 33. I am the best in the world at mastering my space. I am the best in the world at helping people find and fulfill their God-given destiny, or diakonia, which means service or ministry. I am the best in the world. I am the best in the world. I am the best in the world at mastering my chi. How do I do it? Well, I had to learn how to master my space. So when we're talking about, for example, why don't young people go to church anymore? Why don't young people go to church? Well, young people don't go to church anymore because the church cannot address a young person's problem. Or the church cannot even address my problem. Most churches, most reverends, most doctors, and most bishops, they can't assist me. They can't help me be me. They can't help me establish a relationship with God. Most preachers don't have a relationship with God themselves. They have a form of godliness, but they have no power. Most preachers are connected to and in love with tradition. They're not relevant in today's market. Most preachers are not relevant in today's market. They cannot help me feel because they cannot connect me with source. They can't connect me with God. They can't, because they don't have a relationship with God, so how can they help me establish a relationship with God? They can't solve their own problems, so how can they help me solve my problems? So they can't help me feel worthy. So this baseline feeling of unworthiness is why I established the S.P.A.C.E Academy. Because there is nobody addressing the spiritual and psychological lack of ability to override this feeling that's produced by the dominant culture and the current narrative that's in the world today. I mean, they're setting up data centers to steal all the water. I mean, the food in America is, everybody's on this, the world that we live in. And so that feeling of like, man, I have no worth and I have no value. But let's define it first. The baseline, what are we talking about when I say assessing your inner space? Excuse me. That's what I mean by baseline. I mean that we have to access, we got to get to a point where, you are able to access your own feelings and you're able to raise your own feelings of worth and value and relevancy. And you do that by establishing certainty, by connecting with God, the source, by having a personal, private, productive relationship with Yahushua the HaMashiach, aka Jesus the Christos, Christ. But you got to understand the the cosmological Jesus. Then you got to connect with the theological Jesus, the real one, not the one in your church. And then you got to connect with the biological Jesus, the real one, the one that's in the body, in the form of what we call laminin, the lamb in. Woo-wee, we don't even want to break that down. Bruh, we be here all day. Baseline unworthiness is this deep-seated, unconscious. It's always there. Because you was born into sin, according to the reverends, according to the doctors, and according to the bishops. You're a sinner. You're well done. You're worthless, bruh. That's where the feeling comes from. Now, I ain't here to debate whether it's real or not. Bruh, you do that for your own selves or for your own self. Study to show yourself approved. How do you feel worthy? How do you feel valuable? How do you feel respected? Do you get it from other people or do you give it to yourself? Ooh. So most people are looking for it externally, like I did. Baseline unworthiness is the talk to the young people. Get out there. I mean, I do this for a living. I do counseling for a living. I'm a peak performance life coach. I have an entire life management system, 7 modules. It's been doing it for 20 years. I'll always be in business because there is religion. There's not spirituality. Most people are religious, but they're not spiritual. No study for another time. This deep-seated feeling, it's a fundamental underlining, not spoken about. You're not enough. No matter how much money you make. Oh, we don't even talk about melanated people. What if you're black? Oh yeah, we're not going to talk about it. See, by default, the reticular activating system, it just want to keep you safe, bruh. The reticular activating system doesn't want you to thrive. The reticular activating system wants you to survive. People are trying to, bruh, come on, man, you gotta stay alive, homie. So, don't take risk. What? We're not doing that, bruh. It's self-settling. It is self-defeating. It is self-debilitating. It's like the joy of living is sucked out of you because you have no worth. You have no value. Not you personally, people you know. Now, I didn't read this in the book. I do this every day. I've been doing it for 20 years. So people, when I set up a one-on-one, I talk to somebody. Remember, I got 100 grand that I put up against your 100 grand. They say that my program is better than yours. But I don't have a program. I just have the word. So why do I have the word? Well, in the beginning was the word. The word was with God and the word was God. The word became flesh and it started the world around. So you are the word made flesh, bruh. Contrary to popular belief. Now the reverend, the doctor, the bishop, they ain't going to tell you the truth. They're going to give you King James Version. Now I ain't mad at him. That's all that Negro know. He don't know the word. He just know King James. But he don't know that he know King James. That's another study for another time. So of course you're going to feel inadequate. Your whole life you've been told that you're a sinner. Now the word sin, it means hamentano in the Greek. We ain't got time to break it down. I wish we did, but we don't. Look it up for yourself, bruh. Or just go get my book. So in my book, I break down S-I-N-E. It's sine waves. That's where we get the word sin from. It also means moon. But just Google it. We like to Google stuff. Or get you a, concordance. Get you a Helios Biblios. Get you one of these. Bruh. And look it up for yourselves or for yourself. Now, so we can understand the causality of this reality. There's a causality for all reality. There's a cause. There's a reason why you don't feel like the man. Or you don't feel like the wombed man. Negro, it ain't by accident. There is a concerted effort to make sure that you are in a state, a mental disposition, bruh. Mental disposition. Since there's a state, there's an exerted effort to make sure that you are depressed, that you are oppressed, that you are recessed, that you are possessed. Ooh-wee. It ain't by accident, bruh. That's a reason why you have this feeling of unworthiness. There's a plethora of reasons, but primarily religion. Because it has nothing to do with spirit. So, spirit, what is spirit? Spirit is the animating principle of the body. Animating. Now, I'm just a country boy from Texas. But I got 100 grand I put up against your 100 grand. To see if what I'm saying is the. It's according to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. God himself will send you a strong delusion. Why? You don't have the love of the truth. It didn't say nothing about having the truth. You just have the love of the truth. Because the truth is not on the planet. Don't tell anybody I told you. Now, the truth is on the planet, but the truth has been manipulated, so you can't see it. It's been hidden. It's been regimed. We'll put it that way. So since most Alkibelans don't have access, we can't get through all the smoke and mirrors to get to the truth. We can only get to King James. So since we don't have the truth, we got a truth. We got a version. We got the version. We got the King James version of the truth. It's not the truth. It's King James version. So Negro, you need to get the truth. I mean, not you personally, people, you know. So once you understand that, bro, you've been bamboozled. Now, let's go back to the first time that the word sin is mentioned inside of the Helios Biblios, found in Genesis chapter 4, verse 7. If thou dost well, shall thou not be accepted? Meaning, if you're doing good, you're gonna be accepted. And if thou does not well, sin lieth at the door. So if you don't do certain things right, sin waiting on you, bro. Sin is at the door, and unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. So unto thee shall be his desire. Genesis chapter 4, verse 7, the first time we see that word sin in the Helios Biblios in the Old Testament. Now, the only reason why, because the Old and the New Testament, as you know, Old Hebrew, New Greek. Most people already know that. Some don't. But it's very, very important that we just understand the basics. Now, in the Old Testament, that word sin has a different meaning
Strong's
in the New.
403. Heta'ah.
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 Heta'ah. Now,
Hetath.
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 Again, I'm an etymologist. That's all I do every day. I get paid to reveal, explain, illuminate, and simplify, because your preacher don't have time to do this. He only got Sunday morning service. He got 30, 40 minutes, and he got to give you something that is entertaining. He got to entertain. So I'm not here to entertain. I'm not here to debate. I'm here to educate. So I don't have the requirements. I don't get paid to entertain people. I get paid to help people overcome negative habit patterns. That's it. That's why I get paid. So that word sin is in the old Strong Concordance number 2403. We see that word, heta'ah. So we pull it up and we get the meaning. Now, I'm not going to break down the etymology of it just for the sake of time, but we need you to understand just the basics, okay? So we see that this word in the Old Testament, it simply means a condition of guilt. It means guilt of sin. Now, we know that two things that lower your frequency is chronic and toxic shame and or guilt. So we see sin means a condition of sin, guilt of sin, sinful, sin offering, punishment of sin, purification of sin. So we're seeing the meaning of this word in the Old Testament. Then we go a little bit further, or we go to the next word.
Strong's H2398. Chata. Chata.
So we got the correct pronunciation of the word hata, which gives us the underlying meaning for the Hebrew word sin. Now, again, look at the word sin. Miss the way. It means to miss the way. Again, we're going right into the Bible. It means to miss the way, go wrong, purify from uncleanliness. It means to miss. So sin means miss the goal or the path. Now, what do I do for a living? Well, I do goal or path reports. I do dear community reports that put you on the right goal or path. So It again, notice what it says. I'm not saying this. This is inside of your Bible. To bear laws, to make sin, offering, purify sin, mismark, induce sin, cause sin, to bring into guilt, condemnation, punishment. So all of these words, but the primary meaning of the word at the very top, miss the way. You're going the wrong way, bro. To sin, miss the way, go the wrong way. Going the wrong way. Now that's the Old Test. So we got the Old Testament meaning. So what are we talking about? Baseline feeling of unworthiness. Why is that important? As long as you think, then you feel. And whatever you think and feel, that's what you attract. That's what you do. So you cannot be wealthy. You cannot be healthy. You cannot be wise. And you cannot be in a great relationship with yourself. And if you cannot be, and if you don't love, and if you don't see no worth and value in yourself, how do you see worth and value in anyone else? That's the number one problem in the black community. White community too, really. But especially the black community. Now, again, I've been a licensed ordained preacher for, wow, almost since birth, really. And the thing that I noticed with myself that held me back is I didn't make any money. I didn't get any type of biological or physical health. I did not get to a place where I got some gnosis or knowledge, and my relationships all sucked until I got spirituality, until I got a personal, private, productive relationship with spirit, with the Ruach, with the Pneuma, with Yahushua the HaMashiach, whom we know as Jesus the Christ. But I had to connect with the true Ethiopian Christ, not the King James version of Christ. Another study for another time. Because most people don't have that connection with source. So they have no spirituality. So they don't have no psychology. If you have no spirituality and no psychology, you cannot have no biology. You can't be authentic. And if you don't have no biology, then that means that you don't have no consciousness, no awareness, no perception, no discernment. If you have no consciousness, no awareness, no perception, no discernment, of course you have no energy and no ether. You feel tired all the time because you don't have spirit. You don't have the animating principle of the body. So you don't have the ability to be animated. You don't feel animated. You don't wake up in the morning like a kid on Christmas Day. So every day since birth, you know, I'm knocking on 70, and every day I wake up, I feel like I'm 20. Why? Because I feel animated. Why? Because I have a personal, private, productive relationship with Yahushua the HaMashiach, whom we know as Jesus the Christ. Why? Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. But you got to know the real Jesus, not the one in most churches. Because if you got a true connection, then you understand cosmology, theology, and biology. You are now on the way. So Jesus is the framework. Jesus is the architect. Jesus is the way. He has a system already in place. Now you can reinvent the system, or you can just go with the system that gets you back to source. So I'm providing you by which, not only from a cosmological, but also a theological and a biological way. Because the body is the temple that the spirit dwells in according to your Bible. And so we got a conundrum, because the way people that say get saved, okay, then what do you do next? Well, nobody, I'm assuming, read Hebrews 6, 1, 2, and 3. Because we got to stop doing something to start doing something. We're supposed to go on to maturity, according to Hebrews chapter 6. Another study for another time. But to get rid of this feeling of unworthiness, we need to find the truth, the way, and the life. We got to connect to source. We got to connect to purpose. Because where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. We got to do what it says in the back of 2:2. Take the vision, write it down, so that those that read it can run. So we have to have a vision. We got to have a mental picture that's in our head. The vision is the process that takes you to the goal. You got to have the vision and the goal. It's one thing if you got the goal, that's great. But if you ain't got no vision, you're in trouble. But if you got a vision and then no goal, you're in trouble. So you need both. You need the vision and the goal. Because that's what Jesus represents. That's what Yahushua HaMashiach is. So Jesus said, the thing that I have done, you shall do. That's what Jesus said. Now, Jesus said, pick up your cross and follow me. I ain't say it. Now, Jesus didn't say follow Peter, Paul, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. Jesus said, follow me. So I don't know why we would follow any other frequency, wave, verbal vibration, other than what it says in Matthew 4:19. Jesus told the fishermen that he would make them fishermen of men or people in Matthew 4:19. So in all of the ghost spells, in all of the gospels, what we're talking about today is get rid of this feeling of unworthiness. How do we get rid of it? Follow Jesus. Follow Yahushua HaMashiach. Now you can do a lot of things, but then you got to understand what that means though. Okay, what does it mean? Can you find Jesus in the stars? Can you find Jesus in the ancient texts? And can you find Jesus in your body? If not, you're in trouble. Because Jesus says, I'm the way, the truth, the life. 3-stranded cord is not easily broken. So the Bible repeatedly tells us that we're supposed to follow Yahushua HaMashiach. That's what it says. So this feeling that we all have of unworthiness, let's get back to the New Testament now. Because we just finished the Old Testament. Now again, I just read it. I didn't write it. So don't get mad at me. We just looked it up. The word sin means to miss the way. I did not write it, bro. I just looked it up in the Hebrew. I've never heard that preached in my 60, almost 70 years on this planet. I've never heard a preacher say that. Ever. It's always associated with morality. Now, again, that's the Old Testament. Now we got to go to the New. But before we go to the New, one more time, so that way you understand. So don't get mad at me, bro. I ain't your problem. If you got an issue, take it up with the Helios Biblios. Take it up with the Bible, because it specifically says, "Miss the way." You're going the wrong way, bro. You're going the wrong way, sis. You're doing all that crying and begging and pleading and all that stuff when you're just on the wrong way. So how do you get on the right way? You need purpose. You need death. Where purpose is not known, abuse is inevitable. Now, I'm not saying you don't need everything else, but all I'm saying is if you want to get rid of this feeling that you have of not being certain and not being confident and not knowing, you're going to feel, because where purpose is not known, what happens? Abuse is inevitable. Now, we're going back. That was Genesis 4:7. The first time that we see the word sin mentioned inside the Bible. And that word sin is mentioned inside the Bible 400. See that? 448 times. And 389 verses in the King James. So that word in Hebrew. Now let's look up the same word in the Greek. Because in the New Testament, it's translated in the Greek. In the Old Testament, it's translated in Hebrew. But we're getting both meanings. So we're going to find the first time that word is mentioned in the New. We just read it in the Old, Genesis 4:7. So probably in the book of Matthew, they got, let me see, Hosea. There we go. So we got Malachi, Matthew. Like I thought, Matthew 12:31 is the first time that the word sin is mentioned in the New Testament. Matthew 12:31. I'm an etymologist. I'm not a feel-good preacher. I don't tell you what you want to hear. I tell you what the word says. In the beginning was the word. It was not in the beginning was your feelings. I like your feelings. Your feelings are valid. But your feelings is the reason why you don't have the feeling of certainty and confidence. You don't feel certain. You have a wish. You have a hope. You have a dream. You don't wake up, not you personally, of course, people, you know. You don't wake up in the morning with that disposition that says, I know. I'm the best in the world. at who I be, because I'm an individual expression of God on earth. So once you get this level of awareness, you see that this word sin right there is strong concordance number G266, and we see that word that I've been saying for 30 years, hamentano. Let me get the correct pronunciation for you, because you know I'm not an expert in Greek. So in Greek,
G266.
266,
Hamartia.
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 Harmatia. I was close. I said hamentano, but harmatia. So again, let's look it up. Not my opinion. Not in my opinion. I'm not calling no reverend, no doctor, or no bishop. I'm looking it up. Now look at this right here. That's the etymology. I'm an etymologist. So this word, the first time it's mentioned in the new, we already just looked up in the old. Exact same thing as in the old, just a different word. What does it mean? To be without a share in. To miss the mark. Same word. To miss the mark. To err, be mistaken. To miss or wander from the path of uprightness and honor. To do or go wrong. Going the wrong way, bruh. To wander from the law of God. At the end of the day, it's the same meaning. It means to miss the mark. Okay, now the question is, what's the mark? What is the mark? Well, the mark is Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay, what does that mean, though? That means that you're supposed to have a personal, private, productive relationship. That means that you got the S.P.A.C.E. That means that you have this treasure hidden in earthen vessels. What is this treasure? Christ in you, the hope of glory. It's not outside of you, bruh. The kingdom of God is within. So why are you looking up there? Why are you looking out there when it's in here? I mean, not you personally. People, you know. Now I know. People have feelings. And what are you feeling right now? A little uneasy. Why? You got your tradition. I don't got tradition. I didn't have the word. Why? In the beginning was your traditions. Nah, bruh. That's not what it says. It does not say in the beginning was tradition. It didn't say in the beginning was your denomination. It says in the beginning was the word, bruh. It says in the beginning was the word, sis. So that's why you err, not you personally, but people, you know. That's why you don't feel worthy. Because you're not connected to source, not you personally, people, you know. So I could go on breaking this down. Let's wrap this up, man. I know you got things to do, right? You got stuff to do. I know. I do too. So at the end of the day, your dog don't hunt. Not yours personally, but other people's dogs that you know. So let's talk about the solution. We broke down the problem. I could keep going. I got a plethora of scriptures. And I do this for a living. This ain't my first rodeo, bro. The number one problem on earth, like the Bible says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. It didn't say my people perish for because of the devil. It says people perish for lack of knowledge. Man. Wow. What about the devil? Don't worry about the devil, bro. He already taken care of. The devil is God's B-I-T-C-H on a leash, homie. Another study for another time. But what does that mean, though? That means that the solution to your problem is inside of you mastering your space. You got to change your identity. You have to identify as a joint heir. You got to identify as a royal priest. You got to identify as an ambassador of Christ. You got to identify as an individual expression of God on earth. You got to identify as a child or a son. I did a whole message last Sunday, 2 Sundays ago, talking about the sons of God. It's time for the sons of God to wake the beat up. So how do we do that? Number one, you got to get you some spiritual power. Not religious tradition. Number one, you got to get some spiritual power. Now, I got my 6-month program. I only work with, about 12 people. So get in now by simply taking advantage of the sale. Now, we missed the 2997, but we'll extend it for one more day. That ended on the 8th. But if you're listening to this live and you want to get in, I'll honor it today. Only today is August the 12th. Right now we're on a 3997. The 3997. This was the 2997. The 3997 goes through the 15th. After the 15th, it goes back to the regular price of 4997. But for today only, if you missed the 2997, I'll still honor it. Today is August the 12th. After the 12th, we go back to the regular price, not the regular price, but still a discount of 3997. Okay, you get if you don't already have your Dear King report, you get unlimited one-on-one private coaching with yours truly. And you get your 5-pillar step-by-step program. That's the meat. It's like 300 plus pages, man. If we go through all of the 5 pillars, step by step, based upon your results from your protocol. Okay, how do you get rid of the feeling of unworthiness? Well, you got to connect back with source. So number one, you got to develop your own spiritual power. How do you overcome the feeling of being unworthy, unlovable, unvaluable? How do you feel based upon a knowing of certainty? How do you feel certain? How do you wake up every morning, regardless of what's happening in the physical realm? You have this knowing in the spirit realm that all things work together for your good, that it's going to all work out. Regardless of what's going on, you have a feeling because you have a knowing. That's spiritual power. After you develop the spiritual power, that gives you mental stability. The reason why most believers, Christians, are not mentally stable, not mentally sound, they're not mentally consistent, they're up and down, is because they don't have spiritual power. They don't have a personal, private, productive relationship with Yahushua HaMashiach, aka Jesus Christ, so they're mentally unstable. When you're mentally unstable, then you can't be authentic. So this program establishes your mental power, which is spiritual power. That spiritual power establishes psychological stability. The psychological stability allows you to be a real dude. And a real dude, you become authentic. Once you become authentic, okay, bam, you activate the crown chakra. That's called the Christ consciousness. When you activate the crown chakra, when you receive the indwelling of the holy, set apart ghost spirit ruling disposition, bam. So consciousness means that your brain is occupied by a high vibration of love, joy, peace, gentleness, meekness, the fruit, the result of spiritual occupation. Consciousness means spiritual occupation. That means that the spirit, but where the spirit come from? From you being authentic. Okay, where your authenticity comes from? From you being mentally and psychologically stable. Okay, where did your mental and psychological stability come from? It comes from you having spiritual power. What is spiritual power? Spiritual power means that you have a personal prayer life that allows you to be, obedient to W, the word. So you can operate in empathy and establish a relationship. So it's this prayer, obedient to the word, empathy and relationships, POWR. Spiritual power gives you psychological balance. Psychological balance gives you authenticity. Authenticity gives you consciousness. And consciousness gives you entrepreneurial energy. So that way you wake up every day and you solve problems. That's all entrepreneurs, that's all you do. As an entrepreneur, you cannot be an entrepreneur if you do not have the ability to solve problems. An entrepreneur meaning that you have a inner state of being. An entrepreneur means that you've accessed your inner state or your inner space. An entrepreneur is someone who's mastered the science, if you want to use that term, the art, use that term, of mastering their own space. That's what an entrepreneur is. Because you cannot be an entrepreneur, because what happens as an entrepreneur, you go through levels, you always evolving. You're always solving problems. You solve your own problem, and then you solve other people's problems. That's what an entrepreneur is. So an entrepreneur is someone who's able to solve a problem, then go to the market and say, hey, if you have this problem, I know the step-by-step process to solve this problem. And in exchange for me helping you solve the problem that I used to have, I'm going to receive payment because the workman is worthy of his wages. Bam. That's why I created the Deal Deal Report. That's why I created the Space Academy. Why? I had a problem. What problem did I have? I had a feeling. Okay, what feeling did I have? Okay, I was depressed. Okay, why was I depressed? I was depressed because the word depressed means D means to lower. Pression, there's pressure that lowers my mental state. So depression is a lowering of one's mental state from a high vibrational state. So if you're depressed, you used to be up here, love, joy, peace. Now you're down here, fear, doubt, anxiety, worry, stress. That's all it means. But that depression leads to recession. Recession. That means recession, like you're going to recess. It's a stoppage of normal activity. So when you're depressed, you just stop working, you stop thinking positive, you stop doing stuff for yourself. Then you become oppressed. So it's oppression, depression, recession, and then bam, possession. That's the enemy's step-by-step process. Well, in order to get out of that step-by-step process of oppression, depression, recession, possession, we got another process. This process is called spiritual power, psychological stability, authentic identity, Christ, Christos, Ethiopian Christ consciousness, and entrepreneurial energy. Bam! That process overrides the dominant culture's process. So brothers and sisters, you got a choice today. You can continue to operate in a state where you feel. It's not real, but it's a feeling. What feeling is it? Well, it's a feeling of being unworthy. This baseline feeling of being unworthy is not an accident. These good old boys constructed a cistern, like it says in Jeremiah 29. This cistern is designed to make you feel. So the baseline state, we have to raise the baseline state of unworthiness. And we do this by breaking down and removing the sting of this thing that we call sin. Sure, we all have fallen short. We all need to take personal accountability. We all need to connect with something bigger than ourselves. We all need to understand the basics of Jesus Christ and Him crucified. But then we have to read Hebrews 6:1, we have to read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 8, 9, 10. Then we got to go on past the basic teachings of Jesus Christ. We got to go on to perfection. Otherwise, that baseline state of feeling unworthy remains because we don't have a true connection that leads to perfection. If you don't have a true connection, it doesn't lead to perfection. The Bible says, be ye perfect, for I am perfect. So we're supposed to put on the mind of Christ. Let this mind be in you, that was also in Christ Jesus, who being in the form of God, and not consider robbery to be equal with God. That is the only way to override this negative habit pattern. What negative habit pattern? The baseline state of unworthiness. We got to get out of the baseline state of unworthiness. We have to raise the baseline state of unworthiness. And the way that you do that I'm aware of, my brother, the way that you do that I'm aware of, my sister, is for you as an individual expression of God. Nobody can do this for you. You have to do it yourselves. You have to do it yourself. And you do that by becoming a maestro or a master of your own space. And the way that you master, the way that I mastered my space, is by establishing spiritual power, psychological stability, authentic identity, Christ conscious ether or energy. That's how you master your space. Courses on sale until the 16th of August. Get in where you fit in. My brothers, my sisters, this your boy, that's Will Rogers, a.k.a. Master Teacher 33. I love you. And you can do about it, we're going to see at the top. God bless.